Hey all, Dan Bick with MySurvivalSpot.com. A little bit earlier today, I showed you when I sewed those holsters, the mint tin holster, onto my boots. I also showed you putting the cordage underneath my insole on that piece of duct tape. If you haven't seen that one, it's online. This is going to be more of a breakdown of the kits themselves that I have and that I carry in either foot, or that I'm going to start carrying. So inside the tin itself, I have a Swiss Army knife, which has 2 blades and a saw, and that's really all I care about, is 2 blades and a saw, and an awl is also pretty handy to have. So that's my Swiss Army knife. It's inside the tin. Mini Bic lighter. You'll see why I have a lighter here in a minute. In the other tin, I have a backup, if you will. Small button compass. Inside these straws, I have the iodine tablets in, and in the other I have the neutralizer. I could potentially get rid of one of these straws, but in my experience, and I've got a little bit with these types of tablets, the water tastes horrible, and it can sometimes affect your hydration because you know how bad the water tastes. It takes a lot of willpower. I am going to carry the neutralizer as well. It does improve the taste, so the neutralizer is going to stay in the kit. It doesn't take up that much room, even in a kit this small. Inside here, I have a small kind of self-made sachet of triple antibiotic ointment. I'm a firm believer in triple antibiotic ointment. This is double bagged and duct taped to kind of keep this thing from popping open on me. But if you've got some cotton cloth and some triple antibiotic ointment, life is good. This will absolutely keep you out of trouble until you can get to a higher level of care. They do sell actual sachets of this, and when I find some, I will buy them and replace this packet that I've made here. But that'll work for now. 3 Band-Aids. Right there. 2 alcohol swabs. And that is a 1 quart Ziploc bag. So inside this pack here, I've got the 3 basics of what I consider survival. I have a 1 quart Ziploc bag for water. I have fire. So with water, fire, and steel, I can pretty much get by. This is the basics of the kit right here. I wouldn't feel too terrible if that's what my kit contained. A Ziploc bag, some duct tape, and a knife, and a lighter. I wouldn't feel completely lost if that's what my kit was right there. The rest of this stuff is really just backup and fluff to these items right here. I've got a container, I've got fire, and I've got steel. Close that up. If I had this on me, I would feel better. I don't know that I'd make it, but I would certainly feel better, and my hopes would still be pretty high if I found this item. So inside the yellow tin here, guys, I've got some extraneous stuff. I don't believe these are necessities. These are just kind of niceties. But I have some hooks and some split shot inside of a small piece of duct tape. I'll get to these in a minute. Got some snare wire. 3 safety pins of various sizes. Got a needle and thread. Small flashlight. 2 trick candles. A couple of fishing lures. These are called beetle spins, with some extra soft baits there. A fire steel, and this is the backup to my Bic lighter. A little bit of seasoning salt, and that's more for electrolytes, sorry, than the actual flavor. And this is half of a survival blanket with, and these are reusable zip ties right here. That means when I press that little toggle, they release and I can reuse them if I need to fix a piece of gear, or if I just need to keep this in one place. I can reuse these zip ties, which most of them aren't reusable, but it makes it pack real tight, and that's what I needed for this tin. So you can see that you can fit a lot of things in these small Altoids tins that can really affect your survivability. The thing that I hadn't talked about, and I wanted to, is these items right here. All of this stuff is fairly self-explanatory. The survival blanket, which is only half of a survival blanket. That's just enough to kind of cover your shoulders down to your waist and wrap up in while you're in front of a fire. And if it's raining on you, it'll keep some of that rain off. That's the most I could fit and still fit these other items, which I don't know what would be better, an entire survival blanket or some of this other stuff. That's kind of a do out, and I'll let you know after I test this over the course of a weekend. But these items here are broadheads that are just broken down right now. And I'll see if I can put one together real quick and show you how what my intent is anyway with these things. So I told you before that if you have a blade, water, and fire, you're doing okay. I have a Bic lighter, a quart bag, and a Swiss Army knife in my right boot, and that is my primary and probably my most useful. In my left leg, or in my left boot, I'm going to be carrying this Mylar bag, which I can collect water in if I need to. I'm going to be carrying a fire steel, which is my backup to my Bic lighter. And if I had a smaller fire steel, I would be carrying it. This is the smallest one I have right now, so that's what's in here. Once I get a smaller one, I'll replace that. So here's my water, here's my fire, and here's my blade. These are broadheads that haven't been broken, that haven't been put together yet. And I know that they make the arrow card and what have you, but I don't have an arrow card on hand. I do have some broken down broadheads, so that's what I decided to use. Maybe if I get an arrow card, maybe I'll decide it's better, but I don't think so. I have carried these with me in the past, and they've proven pretty reliable for what I like to use them for. So there we have it. There's our broadhead put together. They do make some higher dollar versions of these, but there it is right there. Now, I can use this as a spear point. I can use this to strike my fire steel in an emergency. I'll probably have to really support these blades to do that. Or, for whatever reason, if I really need to, I can use this as a backup knife with just one of the blades installed. Just choke up on it, and that would actually make a pretty decent skinning knife right there. So, a lot of different things you can do with a broadhead. I don't know that you could do the same with the arrow card, maybe, but you are going to have to make your own handle. This is just the front 4 inches of a bent arrow that I had from where a buddy of mine had bent it hitting a tree. You're welcome, Rob. I just busted you out. These blue parts here don't weigh practically anything. They're made out of aluminum. The front bit and this collar are made out of steel, but they don't weigh hardly anything. The whole thing, to carry 2 of them, I may drop that down to 1, maybe. They do fit, just barely, but they do. So I'll probably carry them both. But if I need to, I can get rid of one of them for sure. I would like to keep one for the extra viability of having that spear point. So hey guys, I'm not trying to tell you what you can do with your kit. Carrying 2 of them has certainly helped. Carrying 1, I really don't feel that's a real viable option. The problem is, as you can see, it takes up half of your kit and really cuts down on what you can carry. But if you have a space blanket, if you have half of a space blanket, a fire steel, and a small Swiss Army knife like this, guys, if I had to only choose one of these, this would be it right here. I've got my knife, I've got my fire, and I've got my shelter. And if I have those things, I'm at least living for 3 days. At least. Throw in a quart bag and some iodine tablets, and I'm good. I'm good. The hunting and fishing part of it, the spearing of the animals, it's really a kind of a romanticized thing. I carry them just because I want to see what's going to happen over the course of that weekend. But you can live a weekend without food. You can live a month without food. It's miserable. I've went a week without food, and it stinks really bad. I don't recommend it. But you can live for a month without food. So really about half of my left boot is really unnecessary. But I've got it there for more of a comfort item than anything. The first aid stuff, nice to have, but really if you're wearing a cotton t-shirt and you carry a small sachet of triple antibiotic ointment, you're probably going to be okay. The compass depends. Are you trying to effect self-rescue, or are you waiting in place, waiting for somebody to find you? If you're waiting in place, you don't really need a compass. So there's a lot of things that can be debated just on these 2 small, 2.5 by 3.5 boxes here. A lot can be talked about. Guys, I'm not trying to sell you on my kit. I'm not trying to proclaim myself as a self-anointed YouTube guru. This is just the kit that I put together, and I'm hoping that maybe it'll give you some ideas on things that you can carry to prepare yourself for some contingencies that have the possibility of arising if you have an outdoor lifestyle. And if you just have one of these in your pocket, the chances of your survival have went way up, along with some training on knowing how to use those items. So I hope you enjoyed this couple of segments here that I've done today. My name's Dan Bickett with MySurvivalSpot.com. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you again real soon. Thanks a lot.